Okay, so today I'm going to talk about shows, doing shows, what motivates people to do shows, what motivated me to do a show. Um, I think when I started, it wasn't even on my mind to do a show, not at all. This is the difference, I think, between then and now. When I started, I was very, very skinny and just wanted to put a bit of size on. So I thought, right, I'm going to start training. I'm going to go to the gym. So I went to the local gym, which was a backstreet hardcore gym, and it was very intimidating. It was very, very difficult, even though I knew the guys in there and they were really friendly and they couldn't have been more welcoming. I felt intimidated. So I went home, bought myself some weights and started doing some in my bedroom. And then after about a year, I went back to the gym. I wish now I hadn't have done that because my gains would have been a lot quicker had I stayed in the gym. But like I said, I just couldn't. I just wanted to get a bit of size on and then go. So trained at home, went to the gym, started training on my own. Really enjoyed it, and I could see changes, and people would come up and go, "Oh, you're looking healthy, you're looking well." All I really wanted to do was, at the beginning, it wasn't on my mind to compete. I didn't really know about shows. I just wanted to look better, bit better in clothes, because I was just so skinny. Um, and I started to do that. And as I got more compliments, I started thinking, "Do you know what? This is good. I quite like this." And it gets very, very addictive. So I started, increasing my weights and increasing my food. And I continually, got bigger. It took me quite a while before I really just looked like the average person because I was so skinny to start. So I was sort of starting way below average, tiny little skinny little arms. And as I put a bit of size on, I started to get to know people. And there was a guy in there who was quite big. And I thought, because he could see I was really training hard, he needed a training partner. And he said, can I join in? And I thought, oh, okay. So we started training, and it was brilliant. He'd push me, and he was stronger than me. He was bigger than me. And it was good because it pushed me and forced me to try and get stronger and get bigger. And then the gains really started to come. So we're training together. He's always stronger than me. I'm always trying to catch him. Brilliant. That was perfect. And then he comes in one day and he goes, "You know what? I'm going to do a bodybuilding show." And I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean a bodybuilding show?" He said, "Well, I'm going to put my trunks on. I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to, diet down." And I was sort of like, okay, right, well, so we're training together, and I'm seeing him dieting down, doing his thing. I thought, wow, he's looking really, really good. This is, and I'm sort of like learning and watching, not really knowing what's going on really, and I was just concentrating on the training. And as he's dieted down, he got a couple of weeks within the show. I didn't really know what to expect, so we've booked our hotel to go and watch him. Actually, it was a Great Yarmouth, I remember. And we've all drove up there, and we've sat down, and I'm looking up, and the curtains have opened, and there's my mate that I've been training with for the last couple of years on stage with his tan on. And it was just the most amazing experience. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that was my friend who I'd been training with for the last couple of years. He looked so different. He looked about 10 pound heavier. He was in great shape, and he won the show. And I was like, it was amazing. I thought, I would love to one day be able to do that, just to be able to step on stage, forget winning it. It would be such an achievement just to do a show. And that's the first time in my head that I ever thought about doing a show. So we've gone home, we've had something to eat and everything and that. And I said to him on the next training session, do you think I could do that? And he said, "Well, can't see any reason why not." He said, "Look, if you diet down, see what you look like. If you don't look that great, you don't need to do it. Don't put yourself under any pressure." So I tried to get some size on for about 6 months after that, and then I thought, right, okay, I'm going to start cleaning my food up. And I asked for his advice, and he said, "Well, look, just eat this, and diet down." So I thought, okay, and I got up in the morning and I started to go jogging. Um, Obviously we didn't know any better then. All I wanted to do was just burn fat off. So I'm eating very, very little. I'm getting up, I'm jogging, and I'm building up my running. Got very fit, so it was good. by the time the show come, yes, I was tiny, but I was in shape, and no doubt about it, I was weighing probably less than 12 stone, and it was only a first timers, and I've gone to the same show that my friend did a year before, and I've gone there, and there was 2 others in it, and they were pretty good, and I've won it. I just couldn't believe it. It was probably the greatest day, one of the greatest days ever, and it didn't matter how many shows I did after that, I will always remember that first show. The feeling of winning that show, for them few seconds, it was worth all the training. It was addictive. I wanted more then. I thought, okay, I love this. Now, I know some people that do shows, they step on stage and it's a nightmare. They don't ever want to go back. And that's a shame, that they experience that. But, everyone's different. For me, I absolutely loved it. Maybe it's because I won. Maybe if I hadn't won, maybe it would have put me off and I wouldn't have wanted to do another one. I do know another guy who used to own the gym at the time. He did a show and he was a brilliant bodybuilder. And he felt like he got robbed and he come second and it put him off. So I suppose that can happen. But I won the show. And we've had something to eat. Actually, my mate, he tossed me on his shoulder. He's took me down, bought me a bag of chips, and the chips just tasted amazing. And I just didn't want to go back to work the next day because I was on such a high. So I couldn't wait to get back to the gym again. And we're training together now. So now we've both done a show each, and we're both training together. And this is how it evolves. And we've gone from there. Started off at the lowest possible show, and then slowly progressed. What I see people do now is, when I started training, I was training solely because I loved it, because I wanted to put some size on. I started really enjoying it. I was very passionate about it, and I didn't even think about doing a show. As where people now talk about doing a show before they've even started training. Before they've even gone into a gym, they go, right, I see everyone doing shows because of social media. I want to do a show. They don't even know if they like it or not. They haven't built up that, passion. I don't even know if they actually enjoy it. And that's the problem, because doing shows really is just a byproduct of, you train, you enjoy your training, you do all that, and whether you do a show or not is just at the end. You don't need to do a show just because you're training. So a lot of people now are going straight into doing shows. So we're evolving and we're slowly doing shows, and as long as I'm enjoying it, I'll keep on doing shows. It was as simple as that. And luckily for me, because I built it up very slowly and didn't enter shows that were out of my league, I was able to sort of do well in them shows and win pretty much all of my first shows. And then it got to a point where we'd won all the local shows, and I said, well, geez, what we're going to do now? There's this particular show, it's the Mansfield Classic. It was a qualifier for the British Championships, and I sat there and I thought, it's out of our league. I just don't think we're good enough to do it. So I thought, well, look, let's give it a go. Let's test ourselves and see what happens. So we did the show, didn't win it, but come second and qualified for the Britain. I thought, wow, this is amazing. To go to the British Championships was incredible. Actually went to the Britain that year, and in my first year actually come 5th. So got in the top 6, which was crazy. I couldn't have been happier with that. So that was really good. So as you can see with the shows, slowly evolved, and gone from the very smallest show and gone up gradually. But like I said, certainly at the beginning, I was not thinking of doing a show at all. It was something that just happened. Now, I have to say, it's funny now because I've done a diet and a lot of people are saying to me now, what show are you doing? And I'm thinking, well, you know what? I'm not really doing it for a show at the moment. I certainly didn't start this diet, intending to do a show. And it's been the most wonderful diet because I've gone back to what I originally did at the beginning, which is just to enjoy it and just to do it for me. In some of the shows it got very competitive and actually sort of ruined it. I talked about in one of my previous videos about everyone around us was sort of comparing me to other people in the area, and it was getting very competitive, and in some cases got a bit nasty. And there's none of that now because I really don't care what anyone else is doing. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I enjoy dieting. I enjoy looking good. I like being in shape. And in actual fact, it's been amazing. Now, I don't know, I might do another show again. But you know, this would be for different reasons. It would be simply just to go on there and just get that little buzz again that I used to have, because I do miss it. I don't think I'm as competitive as I used to be, although don't get me wrong, I am doing everything I possibly can at the moment to regain back what I had before. But the show is not the be all and end all now, you know. And I'm, you know, if I could give any advice to anyone, really, I think the main thing is that you have to enjoy your bodybuilding, and don't let the shows take over to a point where it becomes like almost like a job where, you know, you feel you have to get up and you're under pressure, and you know, it actually can ruin it. You know, you can lose the love for training, lose the love for bodybuilding. Sometimes you just have to go to a gym, you just have to lift weights and just love it and enjoy it. And not even have any pressure of doing a show. And that's what I've had this time, and that's been absolutely fantastic, and I think I definitely look better for it. So doing shows is absolutely the most amazing experience. I would recommend, you know, to anyone, it's good to at least do one and experience it. But my advice would be certainly start at the beginning. I see too many people now that come and see me and talk about being pro bodybuilders before they've even done a show, and I sort of chuckle to myself, because I just think that you know, you have to start from the beginning and build up. It's no point talking about being a pro bodybuilder unless you can win a local show. And they refuse to do the local show, and they do the shows that are probably at the time out of their league, and of course then they go through their whole career not even winning one show. And I just don't really understand that, because there's plenty of time. You know, there's no reason why you can't start off at the beginning. People now don't want to do that. They just want everything now. You know, they want to do one show, turn pro, and be on the Olympia stage. Well, that's just not going to happen. I'm afraid it doesn't work that way. You know, you get better from progressing. You learn. You know, when I did my first shows, like I said, I was jogging. You know, I chewed loads of muscle up. I made loads of mistakes. My food wasn't right. You know what? But we learned from it, and every show we did, we learned until we got to a point where, you know, we knew our bodies that well, which I do now, which you know, it's great. You know, I'd rather learn myself than have someone, you know, doing it for me. That's why, you know, most people you see from the old school now prep themselves, because that's just the way it was then. You know, I don't think I'd ever have anyone. I wouldn't trust anyone to do it for me. I think it's good to have someone who you trust, who can look at you as a second eye. I think that's very, very good, because sometimes towards the end bit, it's very easy to lose the plot a little bit, you know, when doing a show. You know, when your carbs are low, and you know, you start panicking and you think you're smoothing out when you're not, and you know, you just need someone to calm you down and just to, you know, tell you everything's okay. You know, so the end bit is definitely can be difficult when your brain's not functioning. Sometimes you need someone who's got a clear head, who can look at you and you know, stop you doing silly things at the end. But if you are thinking of doing a show, then definitely go for it. Any advice I would give, start off at the beginning, gradually build it up, and don't put yourself under any pressure. And remember, you're doing this solely because you should be enjoying it, and if you don't enjoy it, there's no point to it. And I would say that, you know, there's only one competition out there, and that is not against everyone else, it's against yourself. And like I said, at the moment, all I want to do is just be better than I was. My only competition is me, and going on stage and putting yourself against others is just, you know, testing yourself really. You know, it's a competition, but I wouldn't, you know, I don't think it's worth getting too upset about. It's only a bodybuilding show at the end of the day, and there will be others, and there's always going to be another bodybuilding show. So enjoy your shows if you do them, and if you choose not to do them, it's not a problem. Enjoy your bodybuilding. So that's pretty much it on shows really, and my experience of how I progressed, you know, in what I was doing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's talk, and yeah, subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be talking about a lot more So click the subscribe button. We'll be doing a lot more talks, a lot more interviews, and I'll speak to you soon.